Dear sisters and brothers, I don't know how many of you remember last weekend, Father James, our pastor, looked at the miracle of Jesus feeding the 5,000 and reflected on Jesus' message, "You give them something to eat." Putting some responsibility on us all to feed the needy. This weekend, we have the continuation of the same chapter 14 from Matthew and have the miracle of Jesus walking on the water. Matter of fact, Jesus was not the only one who walked on the water. His close friend Peter also walked on the water. But we will look into that, into what happened to Peter in a bit. Before we get into our reflection, I would like to tell you a little story. Would it be okay? Yeah, so that we can remember these things. In the early days of sailing, no, we don't have to have those kind of things, but in the early days of sailing, a young man went to sea to learn to be a sailor. One day, when the sea was very stormy, he was told to climb to the top of the mast. The first half of the climb was very easy. The young man kept his eyes fixed on the sky. But halfway to the top, he made a mistake. What was that mistake? He looked down at the stormy waters, then he grew dizzy and was in danger of falling. An old sailor, seeing what was happening, called out to him, "Look back to the sky, young man. Look back to the sky." The young man followed the old man's instructions and finished the climb very safely. No, brothers and sisters, this young man's mistake was almost the same as the one that Peter made. As soon as Peter got out of the boat and started walking towards Jesus across the water, he noticed the wind and waves. And he got frightened and began to sing. This proves that even when we focus on the circumstances and chaos around us, we lose sight of our goal. Take a look at the display on the screen. Peter is in the water. Now you have to know, it is not a small pond behind our home in the backyard. No. It is not a pond like Sullivan's Pond. No. It is not a lake by like Banuk Lake. No. It is not an area in between Dartmouth and Halifax. No. He is singing in the Galilean Sea. Deep in the sea in the middle of the night. Think about that. And also remember, Peter was a fisherman. Being a fisherman, he was supposed to be an expert on water and waves. At least he knew water, how the water would be. As well, he was a trusted friend of Jesus. And the point is, still he drowned. Still he drowned. He got all those things, in his favor, but still he drowned. It means the experts, skilled people, they all can fail or sink big time. This happens to us as well. We start off with our lives well, with our eyes fixed firmly on our family, on our studies, on our goal, or on a goal we want. Then something happens to make us to take our eyes off the goal, and then we lose our balance. Very simple to understand. The case of Peter, he knew exactly whom to call in an emergency. He knew the number 911 2,000 years ago, the 9/11. And he knew who that 9/11 was going to be or is. He cried out 3 magic words, 3 beautiful words, the best prayer or the shortest prayer that you see in the Gospels. You know what that prayer is? He is saying, Lord, save me. Only 3 words. Jesus did not, so immediately when Jesus cried out that 3-word cry, Jesus did not scold him from the water. He did not ask Peter, why did you get into the water? No. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed Peter. And he grabbed Peter. Then, thus, Jesus became the first lifeguard that we know. Did you know any other lifeguard before that? The one that I know, he is the only lifeguard that I know very well. It means when we are drowning, our first responder and rescuer is Jesus. Interestingly, I noticed in our parish, we have vacation Bible study for our children aged 4 to 10 this year. The name of that program is The Great Rescue Mission, Our God Saves. That's a coincidence. I don't know when they named it, if they knew that it was it. Anyway, what I'm saying is, look, immediately Jesus reached out his hand and took hold of Peter. Did you ever have that kind of experience in your life when you were in trouble or in difficulties? The Lord came and helped you with? I have. Knowingly or unknowingly, you all have that kind of experience. That means Jesus is quick to save us when we call or when we fail. There is no delay there. Brothers and sisters, perhaps you are going through a difficult time right now, might be feeling difficulty in finding God in the turmoil. You only know your storms, your problems. You only know with what you are drowning with, whatever it is. The truth is, a storm is real, so is Jesus. If you have a storm, real, Jesus is real too. When life gets stormy, messy, and sinking, focus not on the problems, but on Jesus. He will rescue you in His perfect timing. His presence will be there where we least expect Him. As in today's first reading, Elijah finds God in the silence. The disciples find Jesus in the storm. So don't lose focus. When you are going through a tough time, keep your eyes on Jesus, not on your problems. You are never out of God's sight. You are never out of God's reach. You are never out of God's care. Look at that beautiful message on the screen, please. Can you read that with me? Nice and loud. Stop telling God how big your problems are and start telling your problems how big your God is. Amen.